right, welcome back into the Ryan Ripken Show. We're back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. Hope you guys have enjoyed, I guess, your off time. We certainly did, but we've been itching to get this rocking and rolling, and we're kind of back for Ryan Ripken Show 2.0, where we're adding a day, and our new scheduled times are going to be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, roughly 2:30 to 4:30, but depending on certain times when we have certain guests that can join us, we'll change it up here. And we're excited. It's going to be a fantastic year. We actually are on time to start the show. Kevin, that's a big thing for us.
Very big. Very big thing.
Very big. And Zach, how are we doing today?
Feeling good. Glad to be back. It feels like it's been forever. It really does.
It really has. When you take 3 weeks off, and last year we took off no time, which, hey, I love the grind of it all, right? But I will say it was a little taxing. I think we had a way better game plan, way better breakdowns, way better guests, because who wants to see this hairline continue to recede on a day-to-day basis here? Maybe actually our new guest is, because I'm getting closer to his hairline at the moment, if you guys have seen my genetics. But I'm really excited about this one to kick off the new show because I got a chance to know this guy on a personal level. I think he's back there and ready to rock and roll. And he's former big league manager, involved with the Orioles the last few years as the bench coach. Zach, let's bring on Fredi Gonzalez. Fredi!
Hey, Rip, how are you?
I'm good, man. Hey, I think we're getting closer by the day here.
Yeah, you know what? You got to get to a point where you just can't hold on to it anymore. I don't think you're quite there yet, but I heard you say genetics, and I seen your dad, and now, some people look good in it. Your dad looks great. I look so. My wife tells me anyway. I think she's lying to me. So I think you're going to be okay, whenever that happens.
You pull it off well, Fredi. I mean, and my dad can, Bill can. I actually have these bushy eyebrows. I'm curious how it's going to look. I guess I'll find out soon enough. But Fredi, for people that don't know, I laughed because actually you remember Matt, my other friend in the building, Zach, Kev, after games in 22, I think, Fredi, it would be a little bit dog walking session after the O's games. And it would just be with the pups in the back.
Right. Yeah, that's right. And we would love, I go get the dog, grab a glass of wine, and go out the back. And usually you and Matt will be down there and talk a little bit about what just happened in that game and walk the dogs.
Yeah, the simple things in life. Fredi, we like the simple things. Hey, talk to us about, what the hell you've been up to. I know, first off, I know who you're helping out with, and your squad has been crushing this week. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you got going on?
Well, I'm sitting in the parking lot right now of the college of Sinus College. I'm a volunteer coach here. The boys are banging. You could probably hear the aluminum bats, which it was a little bit tough to get used to at first, hearing the pinging instead of the nice crack of the wooden bat. But so we had a great week down there at the Ripken Myrtle Beach Experience spring training. The boys went 8-0, and one of the games didn't count because it was a JV game. They won that one also. So it's a good group of guys. It keeps me busy. It keeps me involved in the games and giving back a little bit to these young men. And it's Division III, but it's still, there may not be any Gunnar Hendersons or Bobby Witt Juniors walking around here, but you know what? Fundamentals, Rip, is still the same thing, right? It's still baseball, and it's fun, and they give you everything that they have every single day, and it's been fun, and it's been fulfilling for me.
Yeah, I was going to say, at every level, this because you just mentioned it. Baseball is the hardest game to play, and I'll be biased, but I think it's also true. But the concept's the same. At any level, the team that executes the best, who's the most fundamental, typically wins the game, and that's from wherever you start, from the lowest levels, if you make it to the majors and everything in between. Fredi, I got to ask then, how many years has it been since you've actually not been in professional baseball overall in the last 3 decades?
I signed out of high school in 1982. So that's 40, and I'm 61. So that's 44 years, 40, whatever, over 40 years I haven't been in spring training. And it's been a little bit weird, but coming out here, And Rip, I think you started out of high school. I don't think you went to college, but it's February. It's tough up here, and I live outside outside Philadelphia, and we're indoors for the first for the first month. We're doing stuff inside the auditorium. But luckily here they have a nice indoor gym or indoor track, and we have to do whatever we can to get ready. But yeah, it's been a long time. Whatever I'm terrible with math, and whatever is over 40 something years, I haven't been in spring training.
So, and people have heard me talk about in regards to you of just knowing the game, Fredi. I'm like, you're a baseball guy through and through. You know the game. You've been through it, the ups and the downs. Before we get into some baseball chatter, this is my biggest fascination. You've had a ton of minor league stories, then, Fredi. Give me one that you remember through all the years that sticks out to you. We've had quite a few great ones. Tyler Wells told us one last year about eating soup out of an igloo cooler.
Yeah, a little cool.
Out of a, and there's also a dog factory was the clubhouse or something like that.
Multi-use.
Fredi,
you know what? There's so many, Rip, and I remember, our great meal in Greensboro, North Carolina was macaroni and cheese and hot dogs. Right, that was like sit down around and everybody pull their money together and get a box of macaroni and cheese or two, and there was always one guy that could cook better than the other, and they would do that and go get a pack of hot dogs, put them in there, and that was their meal. But there's so many, breaking down in the middle of the Everglades, going from Fort Lauderdale to Fort Myers at 3 a.m. in the smack middle of the Everglades back in the 80s. Right, there's no Alligator Alley. If anybody's ever driven that, and it's pitch dark, and we have to wait. No cell phones, right? We had to call through the bus's CB radio, call the other bus, and I think they finally got us. So the state trooper came and around 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning. But then we had to go play that night, by the way. But yeah, there's so many. The minor leagues, yeah, the minor league's so fun. All these stories, but it's we lived through it, so it makes us better, I guess.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say, Fredi.
I will say it seems that every single one of these minor league stories always ends with, and then we had a game 3 hours later. So after all of this, it was like, hey, we got to go take BP. Like,
there's no question. There's no days off. There's no. I remember going from Portland, Maine to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, in a bus for 13 hours. Get off the bus, maybe 11 o'clock in the morning, and hey, we're playing that evening. Let's go get them.
Yeah, it's they just don't make them like they used to, Fredi. The guys that they're spoiled nowadays, man. I tell you what, it's better. I'm glad it is, but man, shirts and pants, man. I think it builds some character too, and also they're so detailed. You can't make them up. You can't make up what you see in the minor leagues.
And it's better. And Rip, it's better. It's better now than it was. Even when you played, right? I mean, it's better. They've done a nice job in taking care of. You hear people talk about player development. Well, it was not really player development when guys are eating macaroni and cheese and hot dogs out of a box, And now I think the minor leagues has gotten a lot better in the organization to pay more attention to taking care of those players that are in their organization.
Well, I don't know, Kev. I mean, mac and cheese, hot dogs, that might be what makes the next best athlete.
Maybe that's the meal of champions right there.
Yours is corn dogs.
Yeah, that is true. Corn dog for me.
Hey, Fred, you mentioned player development. You were in the time here in Baltimore where that was the emphasis. And I went down there. I got to say, I missed seeing you down there. I was down there for a week. I got to see some of the usual suspects of, Seti and I and Dean Kramer and talk to Bradish. And, Cowser came up and, as you can imagine, Cowser
couldn't get him off.
Couldn't get him off the show, but we appreciate it. What is one thing that people don't understand with some of these young players? That I know a lot of things went wrong last year down the stretch, but I think a lot of things that people don't understand is that mental side for a lot of young players dealing with a lot of adversity at a critical part in their career and also just in their early lives.
Not everybody develops at the same time, right? And so just because one guy got there quicker and did a good job, maybe the next guy doesn't do that. And I think the biggest thing you need to have as fans and also as coaches in front office is a little bit of patience, right? Example, Jackson Holiday. Everybody, he wasn't even in the Maryland area, and they had billboards on them, and around the city, and the pressure that comes from being the 1-1 and having the last name, and you could probably attest to this. It was hard, and I think he's going to be better off for it this year than the next year, and it made his baby steps. And by the way, he's only 22. It's not like he's 32, right? So you got to have a little bit of patience with that, but and everybody develops a little bit in a different pace. But I think that going through what the Orioles did the last few years, hell, we made the playoffs 2 years in a row and didn't win a game. And we had 5 games and we went 0-5. So I think that they'd be better off for it. You would hope so, and you would hope so, and you would hope that everybody talks about maturity and some leaderships. Well, some of these guys are already there. They're a little veterans. You can't say they're rookies anymore. Some of the guys have been there. Mountcastle and Mullins and Rutsch and some of those guys already got 3 or 4 years in the big leagues. They're not rookies anymore. So you would hope that those guys can step up and continue to get better.
Yeah, I like the fact that you said that about everyone develops differently. Buck Britton was my manager his first year that he managed in 18, and I had him again in Double-A in 19. And he made the point of, they might be ready for the big leagues, these prospects, but they're not finished products. They got to figure out how to get to that next spot. But that's why, I know you know this, Freddie, you're either a prospect or a suspect, and you're going to find out one way or another moving forward. You could be one of the top prospects, and it might not work out. Or you might work out and be one of the best players, but it's going to take time to kind of go through the growing pains. Like right now, Jackson was supposed to be an all-star last year before he played a big league game. And right now they're saying the same about Sam Basayo, which, dude, Freddie, what the hell I don't know how he's built. He is a specimen.
That's a man. It's a man in a kid's body. I got to see him a little bit last year. And you know what? Let's be patient with him. Let's not make the same mistake that we did with Jackson Holiday. And you're right. They're not finished products. You look 15, 20 years ago, and guys got to the big leagues and they had 2,000, 2,500 at bats in the minor leagues. Now guys come to the big leagues with only like 800 at bats. And the fundamentals are different. But yeah, they're not finished products. And the group that I had a chance to work with the last 5 years with the Orioles, they were great. They were a bunch of sponges, and we would have skull sessions once every the first game of a series, and we will go over whether it was a rule, whether it was a rundown, whether it's a good pickoff play. We would sit down or cut off the relays, and we would sit down and break it down. And they were eager to learn. Where that same system, and maybe let's do the Dodgers were a little bit more veteran. They don't need that, right? But when we had those young players in Baltimore, we knew as a coaching staff, hey, these guys are not ready. Let's not take anything for granted that they know where they're supposed to go, and let's keep teaching. And they were great. They were receptive to it, and actually they loved it. They loved it, and whether, like I said, whether it was a rule, every once in a while we did a quiz, and and it was a good talking points. We put videos next, to them, and it was a good learning procedure for them.
Yeah, and I think also you got to go through it too, right? I think one thing I talk with guys, Freddie, maybe you can. There's another part of this where there's the emotional side, and I think Zach in a minute will have. We'll just say a passionate Freddie moment from last year. But what I want to talk about with the game in general is we can look at all stats, we can look at all analytics, but the best thing for you is experience going through it. And that's something I've talked about with guys that you can say about what can work, but then on that day, unless you experience it and actually feel the moment, it's hard to maybe have the word get through. I mean, through all the years of you managing, what's the hardest thing you think it is on a day-to-day for a season, a 162, to try to either, or if it's an individual for a player, as you just watching as a manager, what do you think the hardest thing is to try to, keep going? Because I think that it's I know it's a layered question, but I think that there's so much to that I think that everyone wants to be cut and dry that, hey, you do this and you're going to hit X, Y, and Z. It doesn't work like that. It's not as simple as, hey, you're going to do this and, hey, the Orioles are going to win 100. Hey, why didn't you win 108 games last year, Fredi? Right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're right. It's a process. It's what is it in the military, or I think even Mike Tyson said everybody has a great plan until you get either hit in the face or you meet your enemy, right? And in battle, and then that plan goes away. And you look at everybody, especially with the Orioles, all these young players, everywhere they've been, they've never failed at anywhere. You think Jackson Holiday went 0 for 22 in high school? Never, not even in AAA. Same thing with Gunnar, same thing with Adley. And so you're going to fail in the big leagues, and you're going to fail in any sport in professional baseball, whether it's baseball, basketball, football. And let's see what happens when this sports hits you right in the mouth and go, okay, son, you're 0 for 22 and you're facing a healthy DeGrom tomorrow. Oh my God, what are we going to do then? And you got to talk them through it, right? And experience is the big thing, because they're going to look at you and go, you don't know what you're talking about, or they're gonna look at you and say, I don't know what you're talking about, because I've never failed in my life. Well, this game has a tendency to humble you and experience you, and the experience that you have going 0 for 20, because the older guys have done it. Are you going to be able to get out of that? And I'm not a gambling guy. I don't bet, but I think that Jackson Holiday, and I haven't seen him take one swing in spring training. I think he's going to be better off for it than he was last year, just because he went through that experience, right? He knows what's he knows what's coming. Hell, he never faced a tough left-hander in AA or AAA, because if there was a tough left-hander pitcher in AA, AAA, they would have been in the big leagues already. So he's not facing that caliber, and so knowing his character, his work ethics, everything that he could give you, he's going to be better off for it. And I'm not going to put a number behind it and saying, he's going to be an all-star. That's unfair for anybody to get that label, but or he's going to hit 300 and hit your 25 home runs, but he's going to be better off for it. And again, I haven't seen him take one swing or read any articles about Jackson, but just knowing what he went through and knowing that young players go through that stuff, and if they're really good and really have good work ethics, they get through it. Gunnar Henderson went through it, right? Yeah. And Colin Cowser went through it. Adley Rutschman is, and I'm just giving you names that everybody knows, but every great player, goes through it at one point or another in their career.
Yeah, I mean, I would say last year they heard me talk about with Seti. I knew that Seti was having his struggles early on, but Seti knew that what he was going to have to do later on to turn it on. And down the stretch, Seti was hitting well. He was a big part of it. And but also he had taken his lumps. I remember when he got demoted all the way down to AA, we were teammates back in 19. So it's real. And I think it's helpful to say you get punched in the mouth. Why do we play this game if we want to do it? We love it. Fredi, it's fun, right? And also, but sometimes you can get pissed off. Zach, I think your favorite moment from Fredi was in an unfortunate situation.
Yeah, and actually, Fredi, the chat's talking about it as well. The big moment that everyone remembers from last year is the Yankees-Orioles light scuffle at home plate. You've been around baseball for so many years. Is that up there? Or is there a moment that sticks out to you from your career over the years of when tempers just kind of 162 games, it's going to happen eventually, where tempers just flare and you're kind of like, wow, this escalated really quickly?
You know what? And maybe since we're talking about experience, I saw it coming, right? I saw it coming. I'm sitting there, and you can tell in the video, I didn't have my glasses on.
No, you didn't.
Right? I didn't have my glasses on because I saw this coming, and I'm like, okay, this is not going to end well. So I turned around, took my glasses down, and the whole thing I was saying, I don't know if you could read my lips, and a commissioner's office talked to me about it. when I was going after that one coach, and I kept yelling, I'm going, "You're a coach. You're a coach. You're supposed to be breaking stuff up." Right here, I am trying to kill him, but you're supposed to be breaking stuff up. But he was. If you look at the video, and it happened in New York, he's the assistant hitting coach or the assistant to the assistant hitting coach, and something happened, and he's on the top step in the warning track area, yelling and screaming like he's almost like leading the charge. And I saw this across the way. And when Hyder came back, here he comes, and that's who I went after. But as I was yelling at him, I was just saying to him, "You're a coach. You're not supposed."
Oh, we might have lost Fredi right in that part right there. Fredi, if you can still hear us, we lost you for a moment. Maybe the phone overheated. Maybe it went out. Talking with Fredi Gonzalez, former big league manager, Orioles bench coach the last few years. Fredi, if you can hear us, I know dilly, we wanted to hear the end of that story. So, Fredi, if you can still hear us, exit and come back in if you can. But what I love with Fredi, he just tells it how it is. And also experience with that, right?
Yeah. I gotta say, I love that comment where he's like, I just kept yelling, "You're a coach. You're a coach." I mean, I was trying to kill him. Like, I love that.
Well, I remember that. It wasn't just, that had escalated throughout the entire game.
Yeah.
Where they were talking.
And that's the thing is it was one of those moments where, Fredi says that he saw it coming.
Mm-hmm.
This was not something that happened out of nowhere.
No.
This was, and that was a few days of games where you were sitting on the edge of your seat going, is this is this the moment? Is it gonna happen? And I think the second it hit Heston in the head, you kind of had a feeling that, okay, this is the boiling point.
You know what I got to ask him about, Fredi, if you can still hear me. Oh, I saw his face. He came back, then we lost him for a second. There he is.
Oh, okay,
Fredi, right in the middle of the part, and we had so many people go no. So if you remember where your thought process was, you were going after the coach. You were very red there, Fredi, as well.
Yes. My wife at the other night, Trish, you met Trish. She goes, "What the hell are you doing? You're 60 years old. You're gonna get killed. Those kids." I'm like, I don't feel 60, honey. I feel good. my son texts me. He goes, "Dad, that a baby." He played football in college. He goes, "You moved the pile. You moved the pile." So
might need you back in the short yardage situations right there. Yeah. It was hard to stop you.
Yeah, well, here in Philly, I'll be great with that. What do they call it? The push tush or the tush push? Yeah.
They're looking for someone to stop. I mean, the rest of the league's trying to catch up. But those moments, you talk about experience. Now I got to know, is that one of the most you were pissed off with? I seem to remember you had one in Atlanta that was pretty infuriating.
Well, the infield fly rule one?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. And you know what's funny about that is people still bring that one up. And I thought I was pretty calm considering, because the umpire, I think Jeff Nelson or maybe it's Jeff Kellogg, goes, "Fredi, we're not throwing you out of this game. We're not throwing you out of this game." But I thought to this day that I was in the right, that infield fly rule. And it's funny you say that because Jackson was in the stadium that game, because it was his father in left field that dropped the ball, or the shortstop dropped the ball in left field. So it was Jackson was there. But you know what? I still think that it was one of those situations that I thought that the infield fly rule was called way too far out there, and maybe they went through a 6-man umpiring crew where they're not used to having those guys down the line that far. And maybe Sam, misjudged it or anything. But, nevertheless, I don't know if we win the game or not, but I would have liked our chances with the bases loaded there and 1 out instead of the other scenario.
Bases juiced. You ever ask Matt Holliday about that?
No, I've never asked him. I've never asked him that question. I've had umpires come up to me and said, it was an infield fly rule. I've had other people say, no, it wasn't. You know what? I don't know what it is, but I know, I teach it in spring training, and then during the season, I teach our guys the infield fly rule just because of that.
Yeah. You ever have an umpire come up to you and say, "Hey, my bad," through all the years?
Yeah. They have that. They're human beings, and the most part,
Oh, they
you know,
are.
they're good. They're good, you know, and now with replay, you know what, Rip, I can't believe how much stuff they thrown at them. Right? They gotta do the replay now. They gotta check for sticky substance. The strike zones coming. The different rules that's come over the last 10 or 15 years. It's like you see major league umpires coming out to do a game. They're all wired up. They got belts with walkie-talkies in the back and earpieces. They look more like something from the future than they do major league umpires.
Yeah, I don't envy that job. I don't envy any officials in any sport. I can't imagine. I understand people strive to do that job, right? But Kevin, the amount that I get on you for whatever you're doing on a day-to-day basis,
yeah,
umpire, it's a lose-lose. I will say, Freddie, and I've had moments when we had the systems in place. I might have said a few choice words, just like you probably just said. You're a coach. You probably never sworn in your life and said anything bad. I did the same thing in 19 on a called third strike that I thought was well inside. Said a few things. Saw him the next game. He was umping first base, and I said, "Hey, I think it was John. John, my bad. I was wrong this time. But I'll tell you, I'm cool if someone tells me, hey, like, my bad, I screwed up, because they are human. But man, in that moment, I remember that game. That is, you ask, I guess the St. Louis fans, right, Freddie? That was the best fly call of all time.
Of all time, I think at today's day, I think it's the furthest infield fly rule that's ever been called.
You know what? I got to get the measurement on that for sure. Hey, Freddie, I'm glad we were able to connect again. I want to catch up with you and just see what the hell else is going on with you. I think I told people all the time, I think you're one of the best baseball guys around there, from understanding the feel of the game, and all of that. So I hope so. And maybe if there's some great players that maybe get moved that you got situations with. I mean, didn't you? The big topic's probably going to be you spent time with Alcantara, right, Sandy?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, I saw him when he first came over. I was coaching with the Marlins, and he first came over with the Cardinals trade. I don't know how he came over from the Cardinals trade. Maybe Osuna. Was it Osuna? No, it wasn't. Yeah, was it?
Yeah, because Osuna would.
Yeah, and then after about the second year, I'm going, oh man, this is what our ace is supposed to look like right here, and then he did, and he got hurt, but I think he'll be fine, and I would be, if I was the Orioles, I would be somebody. I'll be watching him every time he throws a side or every time he throws a game, along with probably another 28 other teams, right?
I don't know if you've watched him in spring training. He's doing okay. I think his arm's okay. He's only throwing 98-mile-an-hour sinkers. For 100-mile-an-hour four-seamers, 98-mile-an-hour sinkers, and he looks like that guy. So and also opening day in Miami is Paul Skeens versus Alcantara.
Oh wow!
Stop traffic there.
I'm not busy that day. I'm sure. I mean, I go down there and stay with my parents and go watch that game.
Hey, I think and if you do and you go watch that, then you need to come on and give me a report on how they look.
All right.
Yeah. So
the boys, only if I can get away from the boys up here. They're already starting to practice. So
they are okay. Hey, Freddie, appreciate you. Good luck to the squad. Keep kicking ass, and I'll talk to you soon. All right.
And thank you so much, Rip. Anytime. All right. I love talking baseball. So good luck to you guys.
Thanks, Freddie.
Thanks,
we'll talk to you soon.
Appreciate you,
Fredi Gonzalez, everybody.
All right.
That was awesome.
Dude, he's one of my favorite, just for so many reasons.
Love the stories. Love the stories,
but real. He's real with it, and great way to kick off this year, guys. I'm considering this the Ryan Ripken Show 2.0, season 2, where we took a break and now we're rocking and rolling. It is going to be one hell of a year. Freddie is just the tip of the iceberg of what we've got planned for this year. And to be honest, we can't explain all of it to you yet, but it's on the way. And also, by the way, is our other member back there? Is he ready to rock and roll?
I believe. Oh, nope.
Is he gone?
Not yet. He is not ready yet.
Damn. So it's just you, me, and Kevin.
Yeah, just stuck.
Yeah.
I will say though,
I'm not trapped in here with you. You're trapped in here with me.
That's very true.
You know what?
True.
You do look taller today.
I know.
You can thank Zach.
Zach did me good today. Zach did me good
I
today.
set up the camera well,
I know. Actually, for my home
set.
setup, I'm trying to get a little taller as well. I'm doing a whole like revamp in the next couple of months, and this is a good start to me. Although my hair is not doing me any favors today, I'll tell you that.
You know what? It looks good. It looks fantastic. You look great, Kevin. Kevin, you look great.
I might need to see if I had a White Star sales hat.
They're coming, Kevin. They're coming.
I've heard
okay?
that for the past 6
they're
months.
Coming.
Yeah.
So you just wait.
Or
you
a
just
Ryan
wait.
Ripken show hat.
I need a Ryan Ripken show big hat.
I do too.
Where do we
Honestly,
get the big hats?
We need a big hat.
We need big hats here because we're starting to change our merchandise around here. And again, we got a lot to talk about here on the show. But we are having merchandise, and actually, it's starting with our first shirts. Kevin wore this one down in Sarasota. The
O's are fine.
Fine.
According to Colton Cowser.
Like good looking.
Yeah, fine.
Yeah. So up for interpretation depending on how you want to take it.
That was fantastic.
Yeah.
We didn't even mention the shirt. And he's like, "Oh, like looks." And we're like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "The shirt. The O's are fine."
Yeah. Hey, I'm all about people helping people and picking each other up and boosting confidence. But that's not the first thing that came to my mind. You know what? There's some good looking guys on the team. Good for them.
Yeah.
But the O's are fine. Those shirts are going to be available for our Holy Shirts and Pants members right now. You're going to get the first dibs, and I put out a post to get your shirt sizes. We will get emails so we can get that out. Kevin, we're going to be working on other shirts, and maybe on opening day.
We're going to have a whole merch thing.
We're going to have a whole merch thing.
Yeah.
And shout out Deep Eddy Vodka. That's going to help us on our next shirt reveal around opening day. So stay tuned for that. And also, guys, we got to get ready for this. It's a wild week for us because on Thursday it is March Madness. We're going up to Hollywood Casino at Charlestown Races in West Virginia. Beautiful. We're going to be doing that on Thursday. And a Maryland legend, Gary Williams, is going to join the show. Oh, and then also we got another baseball insider that's joining the show later that afternoon. You guys probably seen him on there. Does the Flippin' Bats podcast. Mm-hmm. Ben Verlander is going to join the show for that one. And then we have a lot of things planned for opening week. And I guess at least it's supposed to be opening week next week, but apparently baseball happened last night. We'll get into all of that in a little bit.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I know you have some
I hate it, but yeah, we'll get to it.
We will get into that. But fellas, before we get into some more breakdowns and diving into a lot of baseball, because we have a lot of baseball talk, should we take a quick minute, talk a little bit of football, of what's kind of transpired here the last week?
Yeah.
I feel like we've taken a lot of time off. Kevin, you've been, you were working down at Sarasota.
I missed the best dinner of the trip, apparently.
Oh, it was very good.
Yeah.
So
although I
sushi.
think I did get stuff brought back. That was our 4 a.m. day when we went to the facility. And I was taking a 30-minute nap. And then I was like, all right, we're going to go to dinner. And then I hear Ryan, because I was just waking up, and I hear Ryan say, should I go wake Kevin up? And then Ryan knocks on the door and goes, Kevin, the Ravens just signed Ronnie Stanley. And I go, of course. But I will say, I'm thankful they didn't do it when we were in the car going there. And I'm thankful they didn't do it when I was on the plane going back. Those were the two, or honestly, when we were at the facility too. But I'll tell you, I don't really know where I'm going with this. But it's been an off season.
It was
so
an
far.
ordeal, but I'll tell you what, that was the best deal. Maybe that's the best bargain of the deal right there. Ronnie Stanley extension for what you saw those free agents go for. Shout out Ronnie, by the way. I think it's his birthday today.
It is his birthday. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Ronnie.
A lot of March Ravens birthdays. Kyle Hamilton was a few days ago.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Not Nick Moore.
No.
Apparently we'll have Nick Moore in the studio again soon.
Doubt it.
We'll see. But guys, there was other news in the AFC North. I think that's kind of this talking point for this segment as we go around the North of it felt like a lot of teams didn't go out and make some big signings, and some kept their guys, the biggest one being the Bengals. And yes, they kept Jamar Chase, who we kind of all expected them to keep. Did we expect them to keep T. Higgins? Well, stop traffic, they did, and combined in those contracts is $276 million. And Chad Ochocinco and Shannon Sharp started this conversation on what's that mean for the Bengals moving forward. So let's play part of that clip for you guys. And we're going to react on the other side.
Congratulations, brother Jamar Chase, brother T. Higgins. They got that deal done. Joe Burrow, I know Joe is happy, very happy to keep that unit together. Obviously, I didn't think it would be possible I didn't think it would be possible. Obviously, I can't break down the numbers right now in front of me, but the fact that Joe was able to keep the two main targets, keep the two main guys together, man, is a really good thing, and that's a step in the right direction for us, in finishing, what we need to get back to the promised land at the end of the season. So I'm happy for them. I'm excited, and kudos to the Blackburn family, to Mike Brown, and getting that done. And let's get some work on that defense end now.
Yeah, I don't see how they pay Trey Hendrickson. He wants north of $30 million.
Right. Yeah.
I don't see how. I'm not saying it can't be done. I just don't see how. Ocho.
Do you think it's possible to still pay Trey? What do you think? I mean, that's tying all the money up and just in four players.
He's gonna want north of 30.
Right.
The man has 35 sacks in 2 years. Nobody has that many sacks in the past 2 years.
Right.
He's been a Pro Bowler both years. I just don't. Like I said, could it happen? Yes. Yeah. The question is that you have to ask yourself, Ocho, is the opportunity to go to the Super Bowl, potentially win it over the next 2 years, is that worth potentially being in salary cap hell in 27, 28?
Right.
So right there, that's kind of the conversation. I think we can all say the Bengals offense is going to look pretty damn good. They might put up 30, 40, 50. On the other side, they might give up 30, 40, 50. Now, fair to say, I think the Bengals defense was a little bit better, not middle of the pack last year. They're a playoff team. They were very bad last year.
I'll go a step further. If the Bengals defense was just top 25, it felt like they would have been. That's why, listen, I understand that there are people who don't agree with paying that much for two players, especially two players at the same position at once. It's what the Bengals has made them successful, is the fact that they're like, hey, we can drop 40 on you in an instant. And it's, if anything, these past two moves with Jamar and with T, it makes it that, Ocho and Shannon are talking about, can they re-sign Trey? What does this mean? You have to re-sign Trey now. Like, you have to, because now with all the money, built up on offense, like Shannon said, no one's come close to the amount of sacks he's had the past 2 years. He is that pass rush single-handedly at times. They need to keep him. You got to draft well, but I see people saying like the Bengals screwed up doing this. I don't think so, personally. I don't think they screwed up at all, because if you have two of the top playmakers in the league, the way I look at it is, if the Ravens had Jamar Chase and T. Higgins both at wide receiver, would I be upset about this move? Not at all. When you have that big of a weapon arsenal at your hands, especially with a Joe Burrow at quarterback, I think you keep this going as long as you can. Could it end up not working out because they give up 50 points a game? Maybe, but they got to draft well. I don't know how many picks they have. I would use every single one of them on defense. But if they could just hit on one or two defensive picks, I think this works out for them.
I think so too. I mean, look, I get it. I mean, you're wondering, where's the money going to go? T. Higgins and Jamar Chase duo last year had the most receiving yards, and T. Higgins missed 5 games. Now, granted, Unique New York, Kevin. Unique New York.
There you go.
Which movie?
Anchorman.
Wow.
See, and that was context clues too.
was-
I didn't know that one. I knew that because what do you do before you go on air? You do some vocal exercises.
There it is.
Right?
Very good.
Jeff Arnold gave us whether the weather be fair, whether the weather be not, we're together, whatever the weather, whether you like it or not.
He remember.
Don't know if that was the ending.
I messed up in the middle.
First
No.
part.
First and last were good. I forgot what the middle was.
But he remembered that.
Yeah.
But
I remember weird things.
I digress. But let's talk about what we do remember. The Bengals are going to be a threat. And I think if we're looking at the rest of the AFC North, Steelers still got a lot of questions of who they're going to have as their quarterback. Yes, they got Metcalf and they have Pickens. Are they drafting a guy? Are they bringing in a guy like Rodgers? The Browns, Kevin, they signed Myles Garrett. Talk about being in cap hell. They are in a tough position. it still feels like it's Baltimore's division. I think it's just going to be for the Bengals, and I'll go with Zach on this point. We've seen another team spend a lot and not maybe care as much about picks and lock up some bigger names. The Rams have done this and drafted well. Yeah. It feels like that the Bengals' room for error is going to be higher with on the defensive side, because let's just face it, it's just there's not going to be, you can go out and get the impact players through trade or free agency right now. You're going to have to develop them to have a chance to be able to take on Baltimore, to take on the Chiefs, and the rest of like the AFC West that seems to be getting better at the same time.
Yeah, I just personally don't think Cincinnati handled it very well. I mean, I think that it was probably the right thing to do to obviously Jamar, but to also bring back T. Higgins. But, you know, Jake Lisco, who's one of Locked On Bengals hosts, he put this out on Twitter a couple weeks ago, or maybe it was last week, and he ended up saying that, hey, you know, you dig in over $1 million today just to lose $5 million tomorrow, because that's the way that the contracts are going. Didn't we talk about this last offseason with Dallas? Where it's like if Dallas had just paid Dak and CD before everybody else got paid, they would have saved the amount of money where they could have signed Derrick Henry instead of Zeke Elliott, and maybe that season looks different for them, or maybe they're able to go out there and do different things. Whereas for Cincinnati, they watched Myles Garrett get that huge mega deal, and obviously they said, oh, well, we're going to make Jamar the highest paid non-quarterback in the league. And so that was a different threshold before Myles got signed, and all of a sudden it's okay. Well, now the price just went up, and it just seemed like the price goes up every single time these premium positions get paid. And like that's even for like a Lamar, where Jalen Hurts set the standard, then Lamar got paid after that, and it was just a little bit more than Jalen, but that's just how this thing works. So I think for Cincinnati, they have freed up some cap space by doing this, just because of the fifth-year option and the franchise tag. You lower those cap hits in year one. I think they have enough money to re-sign Trey Hendrickson, but Zach, to your point, it's like, yeah, they should spend every pick on defense, but they can't, because they still need offensive linemen too. Like the issue is they also don't have a good offensive line. I mean, you hope Orlando Brown can bounce back. Marius Mims will probably step in for Trent Brown this season, but their guard position right now is just, there are question marks there. So I think the AFC North finishes the same as it did last year. I think it's Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, Cleveland.
I know we're not talking about them right now, but you brought it up. No one has put on a clinic on how to just mishandle contracts over the past few off seasons, like the Dallas Cowboys. And it kind of has been an example for the rest of the league of like, hey, yeah, these negotiations might suck now, but if you get it done, 2 years before free agency, you're actually saving $15 million because Micah Parsons just got it's like a $35 million pay raise in his next contract because of where he was supposedly negotiating last year to now Myles Garrett gets it. You go 5 years, add $6 million to that each year, because now Myles Garrett has changed the ceiling, changed the level. It just isn't, it's the same with the Bengals. I'm sure they would love to have gotten this all done last year, and then they could have had the sole focus been on Trey this year. If the Bengals get Trey done, he's got to play in Cincinnati next year, just whether or not it's a long or short-term deal. It's going to be all about the draft. They're going to have to get the secondary, just the defense somewhere, just like we said, slightly better. Like that's the thing that I feel like we're missing with the Bengals is just get slightly better. And that's why I'm still worried about them. Why I see them as a legit threat, because it wasn't like they were losing these games, 70-40. It was 41-40.
Well, and the Ravens, the two losses to the Ravens were by a combined 4 points, one in overtime and a 2-point conversion away from whammy. Yeah. The Ravens lose both those games. Thankfully they didn't. They did not.
Yeah.
And then there was some heartbreak that happened.
And that's why I think it's all about, they just have to get slightly better on defense. And I think they're set up well.
They are set up well. It should be fun. The NFL draft is going to be coming back here. We'll get into a little bit about the NFL draft here a little bit later on. Mel Kiper Jr., right? Mel Kiper Jr. Mel Kiper. Does anyone call him Mel Kiper Jr.?
No, I think everyone just calls him Mel Kiper. I haven't heard someone toss a junior in there in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just Mel Kiper.
Cal Jr. Jr.
That was throwback. That's a throwback.
Throwing it back. But football season is continuing to get closer and closer. The draft is going to be that next big event here, which we'll get into. But for now, baseball is officially started. I believe right now we got a poll out, which we're going to talk about that poll And I don't know. I know Brad's had a little connection issue here, but a poll is out here. We'd love you guys to weigh in on what is going on. And baseball's back. It's opening day, Zach. It was opening morning, so to speak. But opening day for the rest of Major League Baseball starts next Thursday. Next Thursday. We'll talk about what it means for you guys. But in the meantime, why don't I get up there and do a little breakdown here, brought to you by our friends at Adams Jeep, and we're going to take a ride on our Adams Jeep here. Kevin, wow, that is interesting, buddy.
Oh yeah, we're grooving.
We're grooving. Let me see if I can switch over. This is how we're doing. And you know what, Zach?
Yeah.
We've been told the most. We've been wondering about. There's a few players, but today we're going to touch on 2 Orioles outfielders, 1 other prospect. Oh, and then by the way, Tomoyuki Sagano.
Yeah.
The big one that everyone wants to know about.
Yeah. So I think this. I'm excited for breakdowns to be back. I'm just excited for breakdowns to be back. I'm excited for just talking ball, watching baseball again. We'll get into the whole opening day thing later on about today being the opening day ? But yeah, I'm excited for breakdowns to be back. Let's see. Make sure to quick test.
Test.
Oh baby, we are so back.
Oh, we are so back. And guys, if you're new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. I'm trying to get this buttoned up. We're trying to button up. Literally, we're buttoning up our act. Gosh, I am corny as hell sometimes. I'll admit.
You know, it does.
But we can be fun. Well, hey, welcome into these breakdowns. We're going to keep it more short and sweet. I'm going to get better with this. But I think the biggest thing that people wanted to talk about was maybe some exciting players. There's 3 outfielders I'm going to touch on today and 1 pitcher that I just mentioned. 2 from the breakout game with the Orioles, Vance Honeycutt, Enrique Bradfield Jr., on a little bit of what their skills on display. And then there's a outfielder down the road in James Wood for the Nats that might be one of the best in baseball here, in top 5, at least in my opinion, outfield-wise by the end of the year. But let's start with Vance Honeycutt. Can we see okay over here? Are we good? Golden? All right. So everyone knows with Vance Honeycutt, first-round pick out of UNC last year by the Baltimore Orioles, he kind of did everything for that team. And he could hit for contact, power. But what you're going to see in this moment is the dude's fast. And I'm going to want you guys to focus here. All right? When he makes contact, I want you to count how long it's going to take for Mr. Honeycutt to get around the bases. And so we're going to see this. Ball's in the gap in left center, and it drops. It's a nice hit. That's not what we're talking about here. Look at him on his horse. On his horse. And he's in there. Now, there's a few things we're going to break down with this play, though, so don't you worry. But first thing is, if you guys were keeping track, it took Vance 14 seconds from when he made contact to round the bases. That's a 3.5-second average around each base. So 90 feet, 3.5 seconds, the dude's moving. And I think the other part that is really great with him is in some cases he kind of slows down for a second. And he's like, oh, crap, I got to keep going. Oh, wait, do I stop? Nope. I'm still going to go and score. Phenomenal, safe. He's an exciting player. I'll get into Enrique Bradfield Jr. in a second. I would be remiss if I don't go over a little bit of something that kind of grinds my gears for a moment. Are we good? We're good? I don't want to spoil a moment, but Vance could have been out at home plate, and this is a teaching moment. Cutoffs and relays are discussed all the time in Major League Baseball or any level of baseball. And I want to ask you here in a second, Kev, what do you think? What do you notice right here?
He should not have cut off this throw.
So
there was who else is running? Who else is there?
Who's catching this ball right here, Kev?
Is that the first baseman?
No, that's the first baseman. That's the pitcher.
Oh, that's the pitcher.
That's the pitcher right there. So in this case, on a ball in the gap, if it's going to be a guy going to third base, pitcher should back up third. Or if he's going home, pitcher should be backing up home or just out of the play. Because you know what happens here? He, I guess, intentionally cuts it off. But the problem is there's no one on base regardless. So if this ball gets away, it don't matter. But he's got to be behind home plate. He cuts off the throw, and you can see it would have been kind of bang-bang. Would have been close. Here's Honeycutt.
Right? It was on line.
It was on loan. I mean, hey, pretty good relay throw from the shortstop. Whammy. Not saying you got to like the Yankees, but the execution there was pretty good. But pitcher, he's a young pitcher, and I guarantee you they talked about that after the game, right? So there's a cool moment, just a kind of a teaching moment. And once again, Honeycutt, it's exciting what he's capable of doing. And we want to talk about speed. Well, then look no further here than EBJ, Enrique Bradfield Jr., okay? So Enrique, we know what he's capable of doing. Came out of Vanderbilt. What was the scouting report on him? Can play one hell of a center field, and he wreaks havoc on the base pass. Look, I don't care if he ends up being a 20 home run guy or even a 15. Now, yes, he is getting better with the bat. And I'm going to talk about this on the first one here. And you're going to see this as I pause it. So I'm going to move on over. Okay, what I love about this, first batter of the game, he's leading off. It's a 2-2 pitch away. And as you can see right here, pitches away, maybe a ball. And what I love the fact that when I'm saying, hey, it'd be great to drive the ball to the ballpark, but as Jim Thome has told us in the past, know thyself. Enrique, your job is get on base, solid contact, and even if it's not, you put the ball in play, you give yourself a chance. But what Enrique does right here, keeps his head on the baseball, stays in, shoulder in, and he's going to drive that ball to left center field to have a leadoff single. And then this is where then the fun can happen for him. And this is what makes him so exciting, where there's different ways that you can impact the game. Okay, so everyone knows this. When you get on the base paths, for a pitcher, a guy that can run can be your worst nightmare. Why? Your focus is off of, one, the hitter. You can rush. But then, two, you're going to be prone to make more mistakes. So if I'm right here for a second, and Kevin, I'm just standing here and I'm coming set, and all of a sudden I got to look at it, and I know he wants to go. Do you want to guess what pitch this is after that single?
Fastball.
No, sorry. How many pitches have been thrown to Basayo before?
None.
0. So off the get-go, they're going, man, I'm worried about EBJ over there. I'm worried he's going to go. So a ball hasn't been put in play, and on the first attempt, you're going to see him throw this ball away because he's afraid of what Enrique can do. Throws it away, and then he's off. See ya. Hard to catch a guy like that. And you can see the speed, it's on display. Now the next pitch that goes into play is going to go to the backstop here. It's going to end up over here, okay? But the thing is, it's going to be a close play, all right? Because it ricochets off, but Enrique's so fast he gets there, safe. Look at the passion, love it. This is what I want you guys to watch, okay? Typically here on third base, you want to do a walking lead. So for Enrique right here, he's being sideways. It's going to be a walking lead. So you want to do 3 steps, okay? It's a 1, 2, 3, essentially, where you're trying to have the third step be when you're coming down, 1, 2. The third one is right when the ball's about to be in the middle of the zone, if that makes sense. So as the batter is about to swing or it's about to be at home plate, that's when you want that foot to go down to try to react the quickest. Now, however, this situation, we saw it went to the backstop. It's really hard to judge that. He doesn't get the best read off of it, but this is the beauty of EBJ is he is so damn fast that he's like a Porsche, right? Doesn't take him a long time to get to 60 miles an hour. 0 to 60 just like that, because this ball is going to carry him off, and the catcher's going to have a legit chance to get him. But because of EBJ's speed, he's making things happen. He is one of the most electrifying players to watch. And I'm excited to see how he develops as a hitter. But if he is able to just get on base, we are going to see more and more of plays like this from Enrique Bradfield Jr. in the future. And he's one of the many exciting outfielders in this system. Hell of a slide, too. Reminds me of a prime Kevin Ostriker, if you ask me. That might be.
We're chugging down the base paths.
Oh, yeah. And I'd be remiss, though, if we don't talk for one quick minute about James Wood. James Wood is the superstar player that the Nationals got in that deal with Juan Soto a while ago. There goes the hand grenade. James Wood, remember this name if you haven't seen him already. James Wood is going to be a top 5 outfielder by the end of the season. He's a guy with his posture, stands tall, big dude, and he knows how to use his leverage. Fastball away right here. The crazy thing is he's not pulling a ton of balls straight to right field. He's using the big part of the field. Now watch him just smoke this ball to center, and it is on a line. He's honestly got one of the most compact swings I've seen from any player and a young player. We talked about EBJ a second ago with, hey, we don't know if he's going to have that power. This dude has that power, all right? And look how tall he stands right here. If I can back this up. Very tall. And he's got good posture with it and his leverage. He's a tall dude. And the scary thing is that when pitchers want to work away, right? They want to work away over this. Well, that's a strength for him. That's a strength because he's got long arms. He knows how to use it. And he's going to absolutely annihilate this ball out to left center. And it's effortless. And it's a no-doubter when it comes off the bat. James Wood is a guy you need to watch if you're a baseball fan. I think he's going to be one of the best players in the league sooner than later. I'd say in the next 2 years. Now, this is the one I think is the most intriguing and fascinating to me, and that's Tomoyuki Sagano and the Baltimore Orioles. Rookie, 35-year-old. I can't wait to see what he can do in the regular season, but if you're going to go off what he's done so far, it's been phenomenal. Really, you cannot ask for a better spring training, but it doesn't mean it's going to correlate over to the bigs. But here's some things that I've noticed so far. Now, this is from his Instagram, and I just want to show how simple his delivery is, right? Very easy, smooth. Love it. It's great. Now, I love what Pitching Ninja did right here to try to do a comp where, hey, Sagano only throws max 93, but he knows how to pitch. And he has a similar delivery with the arm, not necessarily how he completely has his motion, but there's similarities here with Zach Greinke. And again, shout out Pitching Ninja for this. And you can see the hand placement, the throw, kind of similar where it finishes up. But the thing that actually gets me to comp with Greinke had 5 to 6 pitches that he threw for his career and knew how to kind of use them and got better as he got older. Wasn't that great pitcher when he was younger. This was one of, sorry, let me move this for a second. This was one of Sagano's recent charts down there in Sarasota. 6 pitches right now. And I think the thing that really gets me excited is the different fastballs that he has and how they work off of each other. You got the cutter, 4-seamer, sinker. 3 variations of fastball. And the fastball and the cutter, at least, they play off each other. Straight, cutter goes that way. Play perfectly off each other. Sinker, changeup, play perfectly off each other. And then the slider and curveball, obviously different variations. I love this because it's not that he has one pitch. And look at the variation here. Like, there's a lot of mixture in there. Yes, a little bit less sinkers and changeups, but 4 pitches where he throws almost equally, and he has 2 other in his back pocket. It's incredible. Now, there's 2 sequences that I'm really, really intrigued with. And it was against the Red Sox and against one really good hitter and another one that's a young prospect. So if we start right here, Alex Bregman, big signing by the Red Sox. The dude's going to mash up there at Fenway Park. Sagano's going to throw a changeup away right here, which he thinks is going to die. It's going to end up just staying up. And that's what I'm talking about, a hard sinker or thinking something's going to die. We're going to watch that real quickly. Oh, see, that even got thrown off, right? He's thinking it's going to be lower. It's going to be there for strike 3. Now, one thing I want you guys to focus on, and this is what makes Sagano very interesting. Watch Bregman's front leg right here. It's going to buckle him. He's going to be out in front. Kind of out in front like, oh, damn, okay, I was a little bit fooled or I saw it well enough. Ball stayed up. That's showing me right now that Sagano's pitches, he's not tipping him. It looks the same coming out of the hand. That's what you want. That's a great start for him. That's number 1. Second thing for Sagano, manipulation. And I'm sorry for the blurriness. It'll get clear in the next one, but I wanted to show you this sequence. Okay, this is Marcelo Mayer, one of their top prospects. Sagano's going to throw a changeup down in this vicinity, right? And it's a setup pitch. And we're talking about understanding what you want to do. And look at the depth on that pitch. It just dies. Really good execution. But this is the scary thing, okay? So we just talked about all the variations of fastballs, okay? He's got 3, and he has a changeup. We haven't even talked about the curveball and slider. Adley is setting up right here on the inside part of the plate. You can even argue that he's setting up inside. Watch how much this fastball moves. Look where it is right now. This is a 2-seamer that's going to run, and it's going to finish almost in the heart of the plate where Adley's torso or chest is. Watch this thing move. The depth of that pitch. And if you want to see one more thing on top of it, watch Mayer's reaction to this ball. He's going, oh, crap, that's going to hit me. And that ball's right down Broadway. So I think Sagano, there's a lot of question marks about what could happen. But one thing you got to understand is he has a clear idea of what he wants to do. He's very cerebral. He's very pinpointed. And if Sagano can do this, he can have a really good year. I'm not saying ace. I'm not saying he's going to be top end. But a guy like that knows what he's doing can have a lot of success in the big leagues, especially looking at the amount of talent that's come out of Japan. Can't wait to see what Sagano does. He's definitely one of the many pitchers that I'm watching. And actually tomorrow night, talking about another Japanese pitcher, Sasaki, is having his first outing tomorrow, or I guess this morning, against the Cubs. That will lead into this poll. But again, if you are new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe. We're going to have a lot more breakdowns coming your way. This is the first one, and we got a lot more planned for the rest of the baseball season. And now I'm going to take this off.
Testing. Oh, we're back, baby. Had to mute my mic. So, yeah, no, we're working through the initial, just the blurriness with the camera. So we fixed that halfway through. We fixed it halfway through, Ryan. But a little, some autofocus was having its own fun to start. But we fixed it all. We fixed it out, especially going into Sasaki and Wood. So that was great. I'm excited for James Wood. I think, if we're talking guys outside of Baltimore that have me completely intrigued this season, that Nationals team as a whole, especially with Dylan Cruz, James Wood, they have just these up-and-coming players that they feel like another fun young team. So I'm excited to see that. I'm also excited, with them being down the road to hopefully do some more stuff, go down there and check them out.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this overall baseball season. And again, thank you for working with us. This is part of the first days. The key here in 2025 is operation, right? And we're going to get better with it, but we're going to have so much content coming your way. And there's a lot of baseball to be had here.
Yeah.
And we're going to be covering not just things with the Orioles, so much around baseball. There's so much great talent, and our guests that we're going to have on, it's not just going to be covering the Baltimore Orioles.
Yeah.
Now, again, don't you worry. We're going to have a lot of Baltimore Orioles.
And before we move on, we have some things we have to get to. First off, Tom, oh my goodness.
Whoa,
Tom,
Kevin.
baby.
I just
Kevin,
sat
stand
down.
up. Stand up, Kevin.
Boom, boom, boom. Stand up.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you.
When I move, you move.
Just
like
like
that.
that. And then Laura as well.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Whoa!
Absolutely incredible. What a first day back. We appreciate all of you. Wow. Also, Joe, just 11 months.
Wow.
Gosh.
See the
Are we-
longest
That's
tenure?
that's the next emoji badge up.
Yeah. As a year. It's crazy to think memberships are almost a year old.
Yeah, the Zach emote supremacy is
slowly.
almost over.
Wow.
We've really come a long way overall, and we're still trying to get better. And all of this, again, gets really dedicated back into the show. And if you've looked at the evolution, put out that video on X of just how the studio looks, and shout out also Mr. Clean, aka Mr. Brad. Phenomenal work in here, and our goal is to make this stay that spotless. But the reason we've been able to upgrade is because of the support from the community. It's all about people helping people, and maybe we have a new segment that's going to be a part of that. So thank you guys for everything. And there's Brad. There he is. You say his name, and he appears. Brad,
Yeah.
how are you doing? Hey,
What's
hey.
up, fellas? Finally got the issues worked out. I hope. We'll see.
We're getting there. Hey, you know what? First show in 2 to 3 weeks. It's actually might have been longer, but it's great to be back, excited, and the best is yet to come. And Brad, I think you should do the honors here. First poll of the Ryan Ripken Show 2.0. what we got going
Yeah,
on.
man. So I this maybe was controversial, but I think Zach's probably in my camp as well. But I just figured, hey, baseball officially started today, and the poll out today is, should the first day of baseball continue to take place in Japan? And unsurprisingly, or maybe surprisingly, 72% say no to 28% say yes to the official start of baseball season in Japan. And for me personally, I'll just go ahead and go. I'm going to say no. And the big reason is I don't want to get up in the middle of the night to see the first game in baseball, played overseas. I would love to be able to just actually watch it at a normal time. Not really necessarily for me, it's in Japan or not. Don't really care about that part of it, but just like I want to watch it at a decent hour. Just give me the opportunity to watch it. I mean, people living out in the West Coast are watching in the middle of the night. So it's kind of weird for me, but what do you get? What say you guys?
It's an interesting talking point. If you were a Cubs fan or a Dodgers fan, you were getting up. You were watching this game. I saw tweets and messages saying alarm set, and I love it for the expansion of the game, but it's really, does it feel like it's opening day? Like, that's why I asked Zach to you earlier before the show. I love it. I want them to continue to do that overseas in Japan, because look at the turnout there. 45,000 that are turning out for those teams. Now, granted, the two teams had a lot of Japanese players that have become icons, not only in MLB, but in their country where they're playing this series, which is phenomenal. And Sasaki's on the bump tonight, Yamamoto last night. But in America, though, at least it feels like opening day is next week. It feels like next Thursday is when a lot of those teams are going to open up, and that's when the season starts. I don't feel like that the season actually is underway.
It didn't, because it doesn't feel like the season started. And in all honesty, the season hasn't started. Like Brad said, do I care that it's in Japan, where it is? No. What the thing I care about is all over the internet this morning, it wasn't, oh, baseball's back, this is awesome. It was people going, MLB season started at 6 a.m. this morning? When did this happen? I feel like unless you are a diehard Major League Baseball fan, you had no clue that this was even happening. Like, there was nothing. It was just suddenly, hey, by the way, it's opening day at 6 a.m. I don't like it for the game. I don't, if you're going to do something like this, don't have them play 3 games while everyone else is still in spring training. And then the weirdest part is they then leave and go back to spring training. Like, they then go and prepare for the regular season. And it's just like 3 games happened 2 weeks ago that we're only counting for these 2 teams. I just think it's weird. I would like for everyone to start, if you're going to have the opening day, there's always that one game standalone. If you want to do that the night before, be my guest. I'm not sure if, baseball at 6 a.m. is just, and I'm biased, obviously, because I'm over here and it's 6 a.m. And I'm like, I don't want to wake up at 6 to watch Dodgers versus Cubs for the first game. I love that they're expanding to the international market, when they go over to England, they go to Japan, all that stuff. I think it's great for the game. And we talked about just the viewership over there because of Ohtani, Yamamoto, Sasaki, Shota Imanaga, all those guys. It's incredible for the game. I just don't. My only thing is I do not like Major League Baseball, just a random 3-game series 2 weeks before the rest of the game. It would feel like if we were playing, like if the Hall of Fame game for football, they're like, no, that game counts. Then we're going to go back to preseason, but that game counts.
It feels like it wasn't promoted.
No,
it was promoted. I should say that it was promoted, but maybe not as much to the audience back here. And quite frankly, the Dodgers now have gone multiple years.
Mm-hmm.
Why shouldn't they go every year? Because they have
3
of the biggest names, not only in MLB, but also in the international market are on their team. But I'm with you. I think that the timing of it, Kevin, I kind of like this from Justin, though. If you're going to do an international, circuit, so to speak, in general, would you want to expand around the world a little bit?
This is cool.
And then take a little time, because you're right. It is a weird thing, Kev, as a player, where, hey, where you're gearing up and then you're going to take a second to settle back in and then go play. Clearly, it didn't affect the Dodgers last year. They won the World Series. But I think for the promotion of the game, it just wasn't talked about, I think, enough as it should have been in the U.S. leading up to it, because it was a fantastic – if you watch the highlights, you saw the everything around it. Looked like an amazing thing.
Yeah.
It just didn't feel like it had that buzz here back stateside.
No, and I think that, again, growing the game internationally, like you said, Zach, is the right thing to do, and I'm glad they're doing it. But, going back, or at least end spring training early forever, like, don't have them go back, because I think there is kind of like, and Ryan, you can maybe talk about this, like a mindset shift when the games matter versus when they don't, of like, you're trying to work on stuff, figure things out, and you're like, okay, you can go back to the drawing board here, go back to the drawing board there. But I don't know. It felt weird to me. And now we still have to wait, 10 days for opening day? Like
Thursday night for the majority of teams.
So just under.
Yeah, but the other part too, I will say, the travel, that's why they're doing it.
I mean, yes, of course.
It's those two teams that they were like, hey, by the way, be ready for a 3-game set in 2 or 3 days. Like,
I'd just make it I'd make it a 2-game set and just say,
it is
hey,
2 games.
It is?
It's 2 games,
okay.
but
But the travel day, it's going to take you to get acclimated. This isn't like doing a West Coast trip from LA to the East Coast and back or whatever.
Well, that's why, like, if you have it start 4 days before everybody else goes, and then you give the 2 teams that go an extra 2 days to rest while the rest of the MLB is in swing, that 2-game set will end 2 days before the season starts. And then they get the travel day, they get to rest up a little bit, reacclimate, and then by the time they get back, really it's only a 1 or 2 day difference when they start to play again versus, okay, now there's other MLB action that can tide you over for those other 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
So I just think the fact that they went, it's happening, they're coming back, they're still going to be just under a week before the opening day starts. They still have to play other games. Like that, to me, it makes a whole different spectacle of it when I think it should be being celebrated, not having all this controversy around it.
I will say also, I just like the marketing side. We're talking about marketing. We're trying to get the Ryan Ripken show out there. So, hey, tell a friend to like and subscribe. And, hey, that we're here. I think that was the part, too, at least in the U.S. I would have loved to see it marketed more. Hell, I'm about to pull up this video on that the Michael Clare put up. I didn't even know this was happening, that there's dancing Pikachus waddling their way in the Tokyo Dome. Like, that's a part of the activity. I might wake up solely for the dancing Pikachus.
Yeah.
I'm going to pull this up for a second. Like, I think that was it. They had a lot of coverage, but I didn't feel like I was, even after it, I have to go deeper diving into what else kind of happened over there. Where is this thing?
Yeah, and real fast, I mean, the Dodgers, I just looked it up. The Dodgers play 3 more. When they get back, they have 3 more spring training games, and the Cubs have 5. So, like, it's for a player, it's got to be such a weird mindset to be like, hey, these games don't matter. These games don't matter. These games matter. These 2 matter. Guys, these games don't matter.
Yeah.
These games don't. Okay, season's starting.
It's the mindset shift.
Yeah, it's just a very, like, I feel like all of a sudden it's like you're sitting there and it's like, oh, crap. Hey, by the way, we're going. Like, these games matter, but they won't next week.
Yeah.
Here, look at this.
Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. And shout out, Michael Clare had the video here. Just saw it pop up on my feed. That is what I also was a huge Pokemon fan growing up, I will say. Huge Pokemon fan. Waddling Pikachus. This is incredible. This is what we need. I'm still a child. But I love it. It was a part of the whole sequence that I wish I would have seen more of.
And I feel like if you're going to do it at the beginning of the season, you can, like, and again, there was marketing in Japan, and this thing is a huge spectacle. They get there, they have events, et cetera, et cetera. You can have this be like a Super Bowl lead up. Like, you have all the events, you have all the stuff, and you can market it that way. Media goes out there, like the whole thing. Like, it's a good idea. I like the idea. But I just think if you push it up more, it makes more sense for everybody involved.
It is nothing. Everything I dislike about this has nothing to do with the idea of playing over there. It's a brilliant idea. This is exactly what they should be doing, going in after international pools, those international markets. Like I said, I don't like that we just randomly have 2 games that matter in spring training. That's my biggest thing. And like you talked about, Ryan, I didn't know this dancing Pikachu thing was happening. I didn't know.
I would like an itinerary of where the Pikachus are going from here on
Can
out.
we get me one of these?
Yeah.
Can we get you in one of those?
Can
you
we
might
do
be
that?
the same height. That would work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like those types of things. I would love an itinerary of when the game is, or maybe there's some pregame festivities, and when the Pikachu.
Or you can have them. You can have them out there for a week and just make them spring training games. I get that it's not a regular season, like there's not as much hype around it because it's spring training. But like in the NBA, you have 2 teams going to wherever it is, just a foreign country, and growing the game there, whether it's in Europe or Asia or wherever, and you can grow the game that way, where it's not, you don't have all the pressure of, oh, well, now we have to go back and play spring training games and do all this weird scheduling stuff. You can have them out there and then have them take a little break when they get back. And it makes sense because then you can do what you're saying, Zach, where you have that one game the night before the regular opening day. And I think you still get a lot of that hype. The games just don't count. While that might, drive it down a little bit, I don't think it's going to the point where like these international fan bases are so passionate about, the players who go over and play in the professional leagues in America. And like, that's not going to die down, to me. At least I don't think it will, whether it's a game that counts or a game that doesn't.
I think that being a meaningful game does matter. It does bring more juice. It does. Because even for players, you want to talk about mindset. You go over there and say the game doesn't matter for a player, then the product of what you're seeing on the field is not going to be as good. I don't care what you say. It's not going to be. So, and let's just be honest here. The team that's going to continue to go over there is going to be the Dodgers. For as long as they have those 3 guys, and they should. Because guess what? You want to talk about all that deferred money? How are the Dodgers making a lot of money? Well, let me tell you about the little bit of that international market over there in Japan. They might end up becoming the Dodgers. They're already the international team in Major League Baseball. Like that is, the Dodgers. They're not just the LA Dodgers. They are the international Dodgers. It is exciting to watch. I'm all for it, but you're right. There's got to be something. And I do want to point out one thing really quickly. I agree with this a lot about the whole Pokemon thing. Rocco is more of a Squirtle guy. Like through and through. Take that how it is. That's definitely what he is.
I didn't watch any of that growing. I wasn't allowed to, but
so you don't know Charmander, Bulbasaur.
No, I do. But my starter because when I ended up being able to watch it, I was too old to get into it. Like to start getting into it for me, I was just like, oh, okay.
Oh, you missed out.
I did, but
Brad might be a Bulbasaur.
Well, the starter that I would go with when I was playing the games was Piplup, Penguin.
That's way past the original.
Okay.
The original 3
Well,
was
I'm not saying,
Charmander.
no, I know the original 3, but then you got more options in the other games too. Charmander, Bulbasaur, and Squirtle.
Yeah.
Those were your 3.
Yeah.
I personally never got into the Pikachu anything. I'm too old for that. Me, back in the day when I was a kid, it was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles all day, every day, and that was it. That was my jam when I was a kid.
I can see that. I mean, that makes sense, but I
was like, late 80s. I'm a late 80s kid.
Yeah. You know what? Hey,
I couldn't watch any of this stuff.
Well,
I grew up on Dragon Tales.
Nice.
And Clifford. And all.
Reading Rainbow.
Yeah, the Dragon Tales, you get Dragon Tales, that was a banger,
British Raven said I probably have a Teenage Mutant shirt. So I dressed up as Michelangelo for when I was like 4 years old for Halloween. I had like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle tidy whities. I had every figurine, the blimp, the sheets, the PJs, all of it.
He had it.
I had it, correct.
Oh,
it's beautiful.
I probably could sell that shit now, and it probably would go for a decent amount of money.
Oh, yeah, like vintage stuff. Yeah, that probably go a little bit.
I got to go find my Pokemon stuff then,
especially the tidy whities.
Well, I'm sure someone would like those.
Show worn.
Haven't been worn since. One lucky fan will get to go home with those. But hey, we're all lucky here. We're all together. If you're new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. Ryan Ripken Show. We are back doing this every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, roughly around 2:30. But if we have a guest coming on right at 2:30, we'll start a little bit earlier. And we were on time today, everybody. Look at us.
I almost was not because there was a car engulfed in flames on the highway. So again, hopefully.
Where?
Coming like it was on the other side. It was right by like the train station. It was on the other side, but it hadn't like exploded yet. Like the front part of it was off, and literally just the whole thing was in flames. So police were trying to tell everybody on that one side to get to the far lane, the people on my side get as far away as possible, and so we'll see if it's still there when I go back. But
yeah, last thing.
Second time I've seen a car in flames on the highway this year. The more you know. See, don't I just leave people speechless? Isn't that so cool that
Zach,
I have that power?
You do, Zach. Your last thing.
Yeah, final point about just the Japan series. Last year, Game 2 of the World Series had a combined 29.7 million viewer average, or average viewers. 15.9 million of those were from Japan. So, if you want to talk about growing the game, you have to do these things, and you have to take advantage of these. Only gripe is just don't do it, and then have games that don't 5 games that don't matter afterwards. It just feels like it's a mindset. Just
are you going to be okay?
I mean, I'm going to make it. I just am very much. I'm like. Also, I haven't even drafted fantasy baseball team yet, and like I got guys who have already played. It's annoying.
Now you can't do it.
Yes, you can, Kevin. Yes, you can.
No, that should be a new poll.
The 5 players that have been got 2 points.
Are you starting fantasy football in week 2?
No.
Well, there you go.
I'm also not. They also didn't put a regular season game in week 2 of the preseason.
Well,
and you guys thought when we were doing show notes before, everyone's saying this show, we're going to be segmented and not get unhinged. We got very unhinged here for a second.
Just for a second.
Just for a little bit.
I had to call Zach out on the tomfoolery. You cannot draft a fantasy team once the season starts. Well, then there's going to be an asterisk next to your championship.
Hey, real quickly on the game, though, the Dodgers did win 4-1. Actually, the one pitcher I'm really excited to watch is Sasaki. That might be a breakdown tomorrow. Do a quick one. That is one of those question marks going into the season. Super talented, very young, coming to the bigs. And you're also now, in this case, you're playing your MLB debut is in your home country. It's a unique situation, but an exciting situation. So we'll talk about that more. Dodgers, though, the quest for 162 lives on. Yamamoto throwing the splinker now with his fastball. I'm terrified of that. He is going to be very, very good. And the Dodgers did what they had to do. Cubs gave him a run there with an error, but the Dodgers, they're going to be right in the mix of it. Tanner Scott closed the door last night, and they're 1-0. That bullpen is going to be fun to watch and be very frustrating to face, to say the least. But baseball's back. We're excited it's back. That means that we're going to have so much room for activities here. And that includes we have room for activities on Thursday, which it's a quick reminder that we will start the show early on Thursday because March Madness is back, guys. And we're going to be up at Hollywood Casino at Charlestown Race in
West Virginia.
Beautiful. And we are going to be up there again. We're probably going to go live around 12:30. The games are kicking off at, I guess, around noon, around that time.
Yeah, it's like 12:07, 12:15 is going to be the first tip-off. So, yeah.
Yep. Maryland plays at 4:15, I believe, out in Seattle. And talking about the Terps, we're going to have Gary Williams joining the show, talk about what it's like to be in the tournament. And we talk about some fiery moments. He's known to have a few fiery moments or two. And kind of what he thinks the Terps need to do. I mean, it's been a long time since the Terps have been back to the Sweet 16. We also will have Ben Verlander join us at 2:30. So long show on Thursday. So be ready. Kevin, Zach, and I are hitting the road up there at Hollywood Casino. So that will be fun. And I'd be remiss, guys, if I didn't tell you that we have a few fun things planned up there. Should I tell you everything that we're doing?
You should tell me because I don't know.
Well, Zach doesn't know either.
Oh, well, then yes, of course.
Well, we're going to maybe collab with some friends up there. We might have do a food challenge, Kevin. Maybe.
Oh, I'm crushing any food you put in front of me is over.
and also be a great time for us to talk about all the things that are happening up there with ESPN Bet, because the sportsbook went in there. If you guys remember, we were up there when they kicked it off there. And ESPN Bet's promotion, new players that bet $10 will receive $100 in bonus bets from now through April 30th. So if you're feeling frisky on some upsets, we'll get some of our upset picks here. Maybe tomorrow's show will be that. So that will be fun. We got a few other things on the docket that we want to talk about, but one thing we wanted to bring back, at least before we get back into a little bit of sports. Zach, the weekend just happened. A lot of things happened on the internet. What did you find in your browsing history for this past few days?
There was a lot, but I personally, I got to stick with my guy. We're sticking with March Madness. Johnny Fanta probably must protect this man at all costs. National treasure. Let me pull it up for you. Pretty much talking about giving a rundown of what's actually happening on Thursday. So let's.
If you're working Thursday or Friday, you're an idiot. Like forget it. If you are actually going into the office and trying to do real work, are you kidding me? You're taking off work. If you live in Louisville and your team that hasn't been to the NCAA tournament in 6 years, and you say, we've got that July trip to Disney, and I really want to ride, the Space Mountain or the Star Wars ride at Hollywood Studios, and I can't afford to take off the one day of work where my team that's been 6 years in the making. Are you serious right now? You're going to be at that game. And if you are in America watching our network right now, you are not working on Thursday or Friday. And if your boss has a problem with it, tell them they can go see Jeff Goodman and Rob Dolster, because I'm not having it.
Very good point.
I love it. John Fanta, just one of the greats, college basketball broadcasters, just personalities out there right now. And gosh, March has me so fired up. I'm ready. I'm ready for the madness. I'm ready for the chaos. I'm ready for the busted brackets. I'm ready for it all. This is what makes college basketball so fun, is you have these entire seasons to build up your case to be here. And for 32 of them, you have one time and then you're done. So and you never know which guys advance, which teams move on. There's always chaos. This is the best time of year. Baseball's starting back up. You have NFL free agency, and then you have that sweet spot in between of, okay, we're getting through this with some college hoops.
Yeah, it's the time of year where even if you don't like basketball, like I don't like watching basketball, you're a fan in March. You are a fan in March.
Mm-hmm.
You are glued to the TV. I do want to make one comment there, and I get the excitement. You go to a Disney ride that you love, I got to say, you hadn't been in a while. Like Space Mountain for me growing up, I probably hit differently than it does now. I definitely fit better in the rides. They are not made for people over 6'5", Kevin. You can relate.
Right,
so
I can.
It's a little bit tough fitting in, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
from the waist down, Zach.
Actually, I'm glad he brought up Louisville, because I got called out. My girlfriend called me out last night I've been saying Louisville. I'd say Louisville. Do you guys? I've always said Louisville.
It's Louisville.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yes.
Louisville.
I was called out last night for it. So it is Louisville. So Louisville.
Lovell, is that
Lovell.
what it's
Louisville.
Yeah, Louisville.
I got to get my guy Josh Rogers on, big Louisville guy. Pitcher, used to be with the Ozark for a little bit. A guy likes to talk that talk. I'd love to hear how he thinks this Louisville team is going to do. But it should be fun. We'll have some of our picks as we get closer of what's going to happen and transpire. So again, make sure you're tuning in. And the Ryan Ripken Show, we're back every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And CJ, it's a guy that we haven't seen very often, but hey, appreciate you joining the show and appreciate the compliment. Shocked that this channel does not have 100K subscribers. Every time I check the number, I'm shocked it has not hit up yet. It will. We certainly believe so. And I think it's kind of crazy when we look at what we've created. It's only been 18 months that we've actually we consistently committed to this show. And it's only going to continue to grow. We are now up to 3 days a week. So tell a friend to tell a friend that the Ryan Ripken Show is live every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And then on top of it, if you are an Orioles fan or you're just in the breaking news fan, Kevin and Zach Reacts, these crazy sons of bitches back here.
Oh, yeah, baby.
They're going to go live after every game. And I saw that Joe was talking about call-ins. We're not going to have call-ins today, but is there call-ins coming to a reaction show near you?
There is.
For the baseball season.
Yeah.
Yeah, we will. You will now not only get to let your thoughts be known in the comments, but we will be doing call-ins.
Within reason.
Yes, within reason.
Don't get too crazy.
Yes, please.
But get a little crazy.
Yeah, you can get a little crazy. Little crazy is, I would say, encouraged. I enjoy it. A little crazy.
Yeah.
I'm just excited for that first Orioles,
Yeah, well,
3-0
all
loss.
going. So we might have to. Zach and I will probably come back here and do it or something.
Yeah.
So,
we'll figure something out.
Guys, I mean, hey, the studio, as long as it looks nice.
Yeah, Kevin.
What do you mean me?
Brad,
I don't have the.
Brad's going to emerge from the walls here. He's not actually here.
I know he's gonna bring a garbage bag and say you're going in it next if it's not clean.
He might say some other words on top of it, of that, and then throw you in.
And then Rocco will instigate, and it'll be a whole time. But yes, we wanted to do the call-ins, kind of like a post-game radio type deal. So how that's gonna work, and kind of to encourage people to become, deeper parts of the channel is probably with a membership.
Yeah, something just so we can also vet some calls, so we're not,
because if we make it for everybody, people we have seen with other shows in the past, people will call in just to violate the stream's TOS or say some things that aren't very nice just to troll around.
Yeah, I feel like people handle losses very well.
Yeah,
that's my favorite part about the fan base.
Yeah, we're not saying to come on and be happy after a loss. Go. That's what we want. We want the passionate responses for losses. We want the fun responses for wins. We want that whole thing. But obviously, we don't want anything to get too crazy, too disrespectful, right? That's what we're trying to. There'll be rules for it. So
so we'll get a schedule out on how we're kind of going to do that. Not sure if it'll be an every game thing or 2-3 times a week kind of play it by ear, but we will. We'll let you guys know it's going to be a fun year for post-game shows.
Watch what happens. Just wait. If the Orioles lose the first game and Santander goes deep, can you imagine?
Yeah.
Oh, the Tony walk-off? The Tony Tater walk-off bomb?
It'll be Tony hits 2 homers and Hoffman will shut him out in the 9th.
Wow, wouldn't that be a great way to start the season here? But
those are fun.
Hey, those are fine. It's going to be an exciting time for everything. We're going to move into a couple other sub topics, but I just want to check in if Brad's doing okay. Thumbs up, or you can come on the screen, Brad. Thumbs up, you're good. You're hanging out. He's a good kid. There he is.
What's up, fellas?
Just checking in on you. We're going to move into a couple topics here, and then we'll get close to wrapping it up. But just wanted to check in. It feels great to be back, Brad. We missed you in here, but it is it's going to be a fun year. It's going to be a very fun year we have planned.
I'm super pumped. I've just been starting to put out more clips as we are live. I'm trying to see how they're performing, but so far so good. Yeah, dude, I'm excited to get the real baseball season started.
It's going to be a blast. And again, we're going to have the coverage around the region. Going to talk about obviously what's happening in Baltimore. Going to be talking about what's happening down with the Nats. I know that a lot of people in Maryland have an allegiance to the Orioles. The Nats right down the road are going to be fun. It's a really talented group here. And I just like talking about the game of baseball. All of us do. So why not continue to have breakdowns around the league, talk about the game, talk about what's happening over like the series in Tokyo. It's fun. We're having fun.
It's fun,
at least
Kevin.
for the most part. Kevin, it's fun.
Yeah, I'm having fun.
Hey, you know what's fun? Projections. Projections are fun. So I thought this would be a good time here. We have two kind of comments left here, and then we're going to move on. And next week, I did want to make one little comment. We're having new segments join the show, but they probably won't debut till next week. And I teased it last time, guys. Cooking segment coming near you, and a cocktail segment brought to you by Deep Eddy Vodka. So cannot wait. We're going to continue to expand and little people helping people community section. So we got so much in the works here. We're excited, but we also are trying to get it ready for right around opening day. So back to that whole projection things I talked about. Guys, there was a lot of projections, and as we know, you put out a comment about where will the Orioles finish or where will teams finish in the American League. MLB Network put this out 18 hours ago, and there is a lot of different, I guess, thoughts on where teams can finish. And I'll share my screen again. You want to watch how good I am at this, Kevin?
Let's do it. Let's see.
3, 2, 1. I wanted to put the Pikachus back up, but we're going to do this instead. Okay, so courtesy of MLB Network here. Here are the AL East projections here in 2025. I think the thing that's fascinating when we're looking at this is the PECOTA wins actually has the Orioles as the highest and the Blue Jays finish in second. But if you go to the over and under, the Yankees are the team that's projected the most wins, despite a lot of their injuries. And Boston and Baltimore are at 86.5. Odds for the division, Yankees are the favorites, plus 165. But then the O's and the Red Sox, plus 270. And hell, if you're about value, plus 1,000 is kind of the move if you like the Blue Jays. I think what I wanted to kind of get out of this is the AL East is very open. I think that a lot of people want to complain about the injuries of what's going on. You could make a case for each team of why they could be in the hunt. I do think Tampa of all these teams is going to be trying to fight and find their way, but they have a track record. The Blue Jays, they just haven't done it. But the Red Sox, O's, Yanks, guys, who says they can't? Who says it's not going to be one of those teams? So it's not doom and gloom right now. As we move on March 18th with 162 games left for most teams except two. Does that seem like a fair number, though? Over and under 86.5 wins for Baltimore and Boston.
Personally, I think it's low. And I think, if you want to look at the Orioles offseason and the moves they've added, the players they've lost and added, the Orioles are built for the regular season. I think when you get to the postseason, you need that star pitcher. You like to have those guys that you can lean on. I think that's where you would love to see a Gunnar Henderson, maybe a Jackson Holiday, guys like that, take that next step and become those stars that you can rely on. But during the regular season, it's about depth. It's about outlasting every other team because you're going to have ups and downs as we saw last year. 86.5, I think the Orioles hover at 90 wins, just solely because they're a team that if they lose a single guy, I think they have the depth in pretty much every spot where they can make up for that. Now, obviously, we've seen injuries derail seasons, stuff like that, but it just feels like the Orioles, where they added and the type of players they added, they're all in on this. They want to be deep. They want to be talented at every position. And it's not necessarily that they needed to add a star player. You would have liked to replace Corbin Burns with the star, but as Mike Elias says, who wouldn't? If Corbin Burns grew on trees, they'd get 4 of them.
Wait a minute. We couldn't get another Corbin off the Corbin Burns tree.
No, apparently that it's all, the well's all dried up. So it's just aces don't grow on trees, which is a very big downside to Major League Baseball. But I think the Orioles are built for the regular season. I think, it's all going to rely on how guys like Gunnar, Adley, and them step up. It's the Westbergs, the Cowsers, the Setties. I don't think, losing Corbin is going to make or break, a 10-win swing. I think they're going to hover at 90 wins. So I like it. I like that there.
I do too. It's I think it's going to be a very exciting American League in general. We went around the AL, and later tomorrow, actually, we're going to talk more about the American League in general tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. It really is wide open, guys. I mean, one of the few times I can remember that it wasn't clear-cut favorites. Go to the National League right now. You know who the clear favorite is, the Dodgers. You know who then is going to be also in that conversation, the Phillies, the Mets. Those are the 3 teams that everyone continues to talk about. In the American League, well, it was, okay, the Yankees. Wait a minute, the Orioles could win that division. Oh, Boston had a good offseason. The Central has the Royals. Are they going to take a step? How about the Guardians? They were in the ALCS. Oh, and Houston, don't sleep on them Don't sleep on the Tigers. Don't sleep on the Rangers who are bouncing back. The point being, and we could keep going down the list, there is no favorite in my mind in the American League. And that's what's going to make this season so damn exciting, is because truly, especially with how the playoff format is, you get in, you see how the season goes, obviously, should be for a fun 2025. And also, how are guys going to return? Who's going to be that one signing that takes your team over the top? Everyone's looking at the Garrett Crochet acquisition. He pitches like he has in the spring, he'll be pretty damn good. But is he going to do that? Is Alex Bregman going to be the guy? Or maybe is it going to be a value signing like Tyler O'Neill for the Orioles, right? We don't know. That's why you got to go out and play the game, or all the moves the Rangers made. Don't sleep on them. I love what Texas did this offseason. I'll save that for tomorrow because we can just really dive into that. So that will be that. I cannot wait. One more thing then on the sports side, guys. I think we covered baseball. We're going to get into March Madness tomorrow. There was one other football news we didn't have a chance to get into. Yeah. And it's kind of around because we said that one part in the draft is approaching. Maybe we're going to have this guy on in the future to talk a little bit about the draft and bring on our friend Matt Miller, baseball fan, but also draft analyst. It's around the recent Mel Kiper rankings that came out, or his mock draft. Mm-hmm. Now we know Baltimore's picking late, but I was really curious about who he thought the top quarterback would be. And maybe that's because of my fantasy football dynasty rankings, Zach. By the way, Kevin and Zach, I made a trade yesterday.
Oh,
it took
with who?
It took combined 40 hours. It felt like in a car, and it didn't happen. But I made a trade last night with none of the guys I talked to.
Okay, well,
shout out.
We need to hear it.
Well, Michael Bauman. We're going to get Michael on from Japan at some point. Talked to him yesterday.
Okay,
he says hello. Hello. It was traded away Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet, and a mid-second round pick for Isaac Guriendo, because I have Christian McCaffrey, and the 6th overall pick in the draft.
So what? Now you have 6
and the 3rd. So I have the 6th overall pick.
And you have the 3rd?
Wait.
No, I have the 6th overall pick and a 3rd round pick.
Oh, okay.
I traded my 2nd.
So did you have a 1st already? I forget.
I didn't have a 1st.
Okay.
So now I'm back in the top 6.
So now what? Assuming it's Genty at 1, maybe one of the two, maybe Hampton Falls.
Well, I don't know, but I mean, I need a quarterback because I have Herbert and Geno, and maybe that's why I'm curious about Mel Kiper's thoughts on this, right? Because Mel Kiper thinks that everyone's talking a lot about Cam Ward, but he doesn't believe that is the best quarterback in the draft, and he doesn't think Shedeur Sanders is actually going to drop. So why don't we play that clip real quickly of where Mel thinks the top 2 quarterbacks are going to end up here, and then we'll react on the other side.
Shedeur Sanders are all over the map, Mel. How do you see him at 3 to the Giants?
That's a great fit, Greeny. I think the pressure, the expectations, the big stage, the bright lights, he's dealt with all that. That's Shedeur Sanders. That's who he is. That's what he's all about. At Jackson State, he was phenomenal. At Colorado, he was outstanding. People say he got too many sacks. Guess what? Over those 2 years, he completed 72% of his passes, 74% this past year. He never had a game less than 60% completion percentage, yet he was harassed. He was under duress all the time. Didn't throw many interceptions at Jackson State or at Colorado. So when you look at what he did there, despite having a poor, horrible offensive line 2 years ago, and not a great one this past year, he still lit it up, and he managed a game, and he won this past year at Colorado. So for Shedeur Sanders, I think he's a perfect fit. You got a coach, a GM picking their guy, getting their quarterback with the Giants in a division with Hurts and Prescott and the emerging superstar in Jaden Daniels. You got to close that gap. You got to get right where those teams are, and I think Shedeur Sanders would give him that opportunity.
So he's very high on him, right? And everyone was trying to knock down. There's no, I guess, discussion or I guess argument that the top 2 quarterbacks that people are looking at is Cam Ward and looking at Shedeur Sanders. Now it's just people are wondering, and they're trying to knock down a guy, which I don't think that's fair with Shedeur. That's just the reality of it. You can like Dion, you can like the Sanders family, whatever it may be. Also, the pressure that they have to deal with, and sometimes they do embrace it, Zach. I mean, they welcome it, and sometimes they can bring it upon themselves. But I think that Mel's right. I think he can handle it going to New York. I just don't know if New York – I'll just say this. I don't know if I trust that New York's going to be a place for a quarterback to flourish, even though Malik Neighbors is a stud.
It's Malik Neighbors and everyone else. I mean, that's, at this point, I get it because of the pressure thing. What you rub, he's had dealt with pressure his whole life. There's no one, I think, better in the draft that will just kind of simply be okay with that New York pressure, the pressure of, hey, you're going to be given the keys, do something. You got to do something. You almost have to succeed out of the gate, or if he doesn't, it's New York. The Boo Birds will come out pretty fast there. If it's suddenly 3 weeks in, you're 0-3, you've thrown 2 touchdowns to 5 interceptions, the tone will change fast of the way you're talked about there. And I think that's, he's dealt his whole life with that. You talk about being Deion Sanders' kid, being, this top recruit, and he goes to Jackson State. Then all of a sudden they go to Colorado. He's taken that program with Deion up to that next level. Do I think the talent is there to be a number 3 pick? I think this is a weaker quarterback class. I think everyone can agree on that. But if you're going off straight, the guy that I think could make it work in New York, it's Shedeur. He's dealt with pressure his whole life. He's dealt with being under the spotlight the past 4 or 5 years where it was just all, hey, what's Shedeur doing?
Yeah, one thing I want to say on that's one thing I can relate to growing up, that was something I struggled with a lot. I'm not afraid to admit that. And you can say all you want that you don't hear what's going on and the outside noise. You do. There's no doubt about it. The Sanders family, they hear it. It's just about how are you able to go and compartmentalize and be able to go out and play. And that's something I give Shedeur a ton of credit for, because no matter what he does, no matter if he doesn't bring more attention to him, whatever it may be, people are going to try to find a way to bring him down, and they're going to make comparisons, which you can't compare what Deion did with his career to what Shedeur is doing. Different positions, first off, but the expectations are always going to be higher. And for that, I give him so much credit, because the success that he's already had has shown he's an NFL player. Now it's going to be, well, how far does he take that? Well, we're going to have to find out what he can do. But we talked about this in baseball and the mental side of it. And hearing Fredi talk about Jackson earlier, I don't think people realize deep down, they can say, and Jackson's even come on the show and say it, there's still some part of you deep down that has to fight that feeling, even if you're thinking of it off the top of your mind or it's subconsciously. And again, coming from someone that can speak on that, that's exactly what I dealt with on a day-to-day. So I think for Shedeur, I think he can handle New York. It's just going to be, is he going to develop into that quarterback, Kev? We don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know if it's going to be. And honestly, the Giants has felt like they haven't made the best decisions, and even though Saquon Barkley, I don't think would have thrived there. I don't know if Shedeur could he be the one that changes it with the infrastructure that they have? That's the $1 million question, or however much the 3rd overall pick is slotted at. That's a lot of money there.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting.
That can buy a lot of glass fish.
A lot of glass fish. This draft's gonna be interesting. I genuinely have no clue. I think Cam Ward's gonna go first. I think the Titans are kind of locked in on Cam Ward, but at the same time, I have no clue. Like, I genuinely have no idea.
Zero.
It could be Abdul Carter for all we know. It could be Travis Hunter for all we know. This is one of those first times you go in, because by this time, when's the draft? Like a little over a month away.
Mm-hmm.
By this time, you usually kind of had an idea of, okay, this guy's going to be number 1. You're like, okay, maybe it's between these 2 guys, but this guy's clearly number 1. I don't even know if we know the position of the player going number 1. Is it going to be Travis Hunter? Is it going to be Abdul Carter? Is it going to be a Cam Ward, a Shedeur Sanders? I genuinely don't know. So it's going to be interesting over the next month to kind of see, as the rumor mill gets buzzing and starts moving, where we see that, because we're going to see teams, there'll always be those smoke screens of suddenly Jackson Dart will be like a top 10 potential pick, and they'll be like, no teams are looking at him in the top 10, and then he won't go until like late day 2.
Well, hey, Mel had him going 9th. to the Saints.
That's what I'm
So
saying.
there we
So
go.
it begins.
Mhm.
And so it begins.
It begins. So it begins. We could go into that for the longest time here. For the longest time.
Whoa.
I can't believe you knew that.
I'm on my game today.
That was shocking.
I'm on my game today. I'm always on my game, but today I'm especially on my game.
You know who sings that?
Don't push it.
Don't ruin what we have.
Whoa. That's a
I
good
actually,
song.
if you said it, I would be like, oh, I knew that. It's
No, you
would. No, yes, I would. Yes, I would.
It was Billy Joel.
Thank you.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah.
Jesus.
That's where you found me. Arms around me. You don't know the rest of it.
I know some.
It's a good song, man. Hey guys, it's been good to be back. Final news and notes that we have that I just saw. Patrick Corbin just signed with the Texas Rangers. 1-year deal. He's there. James McCann signed a minor league deal with the Braves. And I'll tell you what, great dude, a guy you want on your team and one of the toughest sons of bitches, man, that you can have, especially after what we saw last year. Best of luck to James. He was loved in the clubhouse in Baltimore, and I hope it turns into a good opportunity there in Atlanta. And the final thing that we didn't talk about a little bit earlier, but Kobe Mayo was quoted, and this is the problem with the Orioles, of saying so many prospects and so much pressure and expectation. Kobe was asked about going back to AAA and felt like it was a lose-lose situation. He goes down there, gets sent down. Well, you're back in AAA. Then if you don't play well, then you don't deserve to be up in the bigs. That's a whole other conversation that we can dive in for a different period. But this is something that the Orioles are going to have to continue to figure out of what to do with all of these prospects.
Yeah.
Yes.
We can get into the Kobe one a little later on a different time. But yeah, it's the position the Orioles are in right now. You have a lot of good young players and you only have 26 roster spots. And the 26 roster spots is kind of like, I feel like a facade, because so many people will be like, well, he's one of the 26 best players. Why doesn't he make the 26 man? Well, you're not trying to have Kobe Mayo sit on the bench for 4 games a week. You know, it just because they're the numbers game, he's one of the top 26 players, doesn't mean for that role. You know, we've seen guys like Ramon Arias literally make a career off of it. Doesn't matter if he's played 4 straight games or he hasn't seen an at bat in 2.5 weeks. When his number's called, he's going to produce. So you need guys like that. You can't, your whole team can't. Top prospects, we're throwing them out there. Some are on the bench, some aren't, and we're just going to see what happens. There's a lot more to that.
Could you imagine if Norby and Stowers were still here? The conversations
Oh my God,
that we would have had to go through.
Oh, we're going to have a ton to still go through because there's still so many talking points.
Yeah.
Players. It's wild, Kevin.
It's wild.
Some would say this shit is bananas. BANANAS. Boom.
I'm like 6 for 6 today.
Do I want to push the luck on my next quote?
I'll be 7 for 7.
Do I want to ruin his day?
No, Kevin, you have confidence, or?
I mean, I always get it right, so.
I'm not going to ruin his day. I'll wait one more day for
Yeah.
it. But I think all news and notes, I think we're done. I think it was a great time being back. Brad, behind the scenes, doing it all. By the way, guys, round of applause again for Brad. Doing it back there. Second best hair behind me, obviously. But any closing words here, Brad?
No, it just feels good to be back. We had some rust. We'll shake that off. But overall, it was a great show.
Yeah, and look at us. Finished up in less than 2 hours, Kevin.
Wow, look at that.
Efficiency.
Efficient show.
Imagine when we add some of our other segments in. Oh, Brad, an idea that Brad came up with that we were talking about. It's going to be fun. Not for you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Not for you.
You're going to tell
No.
me? Okay.
No.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
I'm a little nervous now.
Consider it a surprise. And for everyone else out there, stay tuned for that. And again, if you're new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. Ryan Ripken Show. We are back Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays. It's going to be great. Season 2 is well underway. Zach, shall we cue the music? The music still works.
Oh, yeah.
Kevin on the kick drum. Come. On the kick drum. Kevin. As always here at the Ryan Ripken Show, we appreciate you and welcome back. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back tomorrow for a brand new edition. Have a day. Have a night. And we'll talk to you soon. Peace.